On our wedding anniversary, my husband, Charles, arrived 2 hours late. I noticed a prominent dark red lipstick stain on his shirt. I instantly knew the woman he desired had returned. Meeting my questioning gaze, Charles ripped off his tie and snapped, "Aurora, I know what you're about to say. Can't you just let me breathe for once?" My calm demeanor only made him more irritated. "Aurora, it was just dinner. Why do you have to be so uptight all the time? Look at yourself, every strand of hair perfectly in place, flawless as always. It's exhausting." I stayed silent, offering only a look that triggered another wave of baseless accusations. Glancing down at my designer outfit, I realized he had forgotten again. Today wasn't just our anniversary, it was also the day we were supposed to sign a contract with a big client. I had reminded him countless times, yet he still forgot. I stood up. "Charles, save your excuses for the shareholders. Since you find me dull, I'll set you free. You can finally have Hazel." My words froze him. Then his face twisted with anger. "Aurora, all this because I missed one dinner?" "Yes," I replied coldly, "because that dinner was the contract meeting. The representatives cancelled the deal. Are you happy now?" The color drained from his face. Only then did he realize the weight of what he'd done. He stepped forward to hold me, but I moved back. "I'm tired. Do whatever you want." I left my wedding ring on the table and didn't look back. After changing clothes, I rubbed my temples just as my phone rang. It was my father. "Charles didn't make it tonight. You've only been married a year. What's happening?" "Dad, it was only a marriage of convenience. What did you expect? I'll reschedule the meeting tomorrow. We'll take the deal ourselves." I immediately understood and softened my tone. "All right." After hanging up, I lay on the bed. Not long after, Charles came in. The mattress dipped beside me, and his arm slipped around my waist. "Darling, I'm sorry. I was wrong," he murmured, his hand wandering over me. I pushed him away. "Charles, I'm tired." I turned my back to him. His hand froze, and his voice turned sharp. "That's enough, Aurora. It was just a meal. I'll fix things tomorrow. Stop giving me the cold shoulder." He stormed out, slamming the door. I looked at the contract screenshot on my phone and smiled. Tomorrow, that opportunity would be gone for good. Closing my eyes, I finally drifted into peaceful sleep. The next day, Charles invited me to lunch. The timing was good, and I also wanted to talk to him, so I agreed. As soon as I arrived at the private dining room, I heard a lively voice from inside. "Oh, why do you only eat these boring things? I want a smoothie from that trendy chain. Charles, you should try some too. Don't be so tense all the time." "But wait, will Aurora be upset if I'm here?" Charles scoffed. "Order whatever you want. Aurora's like a block of wood. Just looking at her makes me tired. It's much more relaxing with you." "I knew it," Hazel said playfully. "She must have thrown a fit when you didn't come home last night. Did she finally show some emotion for once?" I pushed the door open and walked in. The room instantly fell silent. A few of Charles's friends were there as well. When they saw me, they all greeted me politely. "Aurora's here. Come sit down. We were waiting for you." I nodded and took a seat beside Charles. Hazel was on his left. When she saw me, her eyes flickered knowingly. She shared a glance with Charles, covering her mouth to stifle a giggle. "What's so funny?" I asked lightly. Her eyes immediately glistened as if she were about to cry. "Aurora, I'm so sorry. I just meant, you're so dressed up, for a simple lunch. You look a little out of place with us. But I understand. You've always been elegant, coming from a good family and all." Charles, of course, came to her defense. "Aurora, you're too polished all the time. Can't you relax a little when you're out to eat with me?" I couldn't help but scoff. "I just came from the airport. I saw off the representatives myself. Tell me, what exactly should I have worn to meet with clients?" His expression darkened instantly. His friends tried to smooth things over. "Aurora's dressing to impress. Come on, she looks amazing." "Yeah, Charles, don't be so harsh." "Exactly. My mom's worn makeup for decades. I've never seen her barefaced." Hazel giggled. Doesn't that mean she's wearing a mask every day? How tiring. Unlike me, sometimes I'm so busy I don't even have time to get ready. I just throw on a t-shirt and shorts. Her attempt to put me down was pathetic. I glanced at her no-makeup look and silently sneered. Charles cleared his throat. All right, let's eat. This pan-seared snapper was made especially for you. Have some of the shrimp too. I nodded, picked up my utensil, and took a bite. The flavor was excellent. A waiter helped shell the king crab Charles had ordered for me. Hazel raised an eyebrow. You're eating too delicately. The best part of seafood is getting your hands dirty. It tastes better that way, like last night, when we had crawfish. The juices were. She suddenly clamped a hand over her mouth and gave me a nervous glance. Oh, I'm sorry. I got carried away talking about yesterday. I completely forgot it was your wedding anniversary. I told Charles we should invite you today, so you wouldn't overthink things. Aurora, I didn't mean anything else, I just want Charles to relax a little. I set down my spoon and fork, then smiled sweetly. Indeed, thank you. Because of you, Charles's family lost hundreds of millions, which, incidentally, flowed right into my family's hands. Charles's face immediately turned ashen with fury. Hazel's composure shattered, her lips trembling. Hundreds of millions? You're already married. Why are you still talking about your family's money? Married or not, I said coolly, my money is mine, and his is his. We signed a prenuptial agreement. You wouldn't know. You're the daughter of a housekeeper. People like you don't understand how prominent families protect themselves. And for those who try to climb the ladder, we're never soft-hearted. Isn't that right, Charles? His face was livid. Enough. Haven't you said enough? Fine, I'll admit it, I didn't want to celebrate our anniversary. You're arrogant only because of your family. There's no need to act superior. I nodded calmly. You're right. Being born into the right family is a great fortune. Hazel just wasn't that lucky. Hazel's face flushed green, then pale. Sister Aurora. I said smoothly. Don't call me sister. I'm an only child. After a tense silence, Hazel snapped, Miss Aurora, there's no need to be so condescending. Charles isn't happy with you, you must know that. Didn't he tell you? He called me on your wedding night, and we talked all night long. So that was it. The night he claimed to be drunk and slept in the guest room, leaving me alone in our marriage bed, he had been confiding in her. I smiled. So what? I'm still Mrs. Raven. If you have the ability, make Charles divorce me. Charles glared at me furiously. The entire room fell silent, stunned by what had just happened. Without another word, he grabbed Hazel by the wrist. Let's go, he snapped. Hazel threw me one last defiant look as she was dragged out. The others stood awkwardly, mumbling excuses before slipping away one by one. Only one of Charles's close friends lingered. Aurora, can't you just let it go for once, he said carefully. Charles is a man. He always says he feels suffocated around you. I lifted my gaze to him, my tone calm but icy. Arthur, you're awfully bold to lecture me. Maybe deal with the illegitimate child in your own family before giving advice. His face flushed red with anger, and he stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Only the waiter and I remained. He looked uneasy, glancing nervously at the door. I spoke quietly, help me peel all the shrimp. They hadn't eaten, but I certainly wasn't going to waste the meal. I ate slowly, savoring each bite. When I finished, I rose, smoothed my clothes, and headed straight to my parents' house. They were surprised to see me arrive at that hour. I said calmly, Dad, Mom, I'm planning to file for divorce. My mother's eyes widened. Is this because of the deal? It can't be that serious, can it? It's that serious, I replied evenly. I handled the deal from start to finish, but Charles ruined everything. Now his family expects me to clean up his mess and even wants me to hand the project over to them on a silver platter. Why should I? I handed my phone to my father. On my way there, my mother-in-law had sent several messages, accusing me of mishandling the negotiations and demanding that I return to the Raven estate that night to clarify things and apologize. As he read the messages, my father's expression darkened. They've gone too far. I continued coldly, and Hazel, the housekeeper's daughter, is back. They spent last night together. Their relationship never ended, not even after the wedding. Dad, they tricked us into this marriage. They promised that our union would be mutually beneficial, and that together we'd secure the deal. Back then, our families had cooperated smoothly. My family handled the most difficult parts of the contract negotiations, but we were short on funds. That's why we agreed to the so-called marriage of convenience with the Raven family. I gave a bitter laugh. I just never imagined that once Charles got what he wanted, he would humiliate me so openly and brazenly by bringing his mistress back, as if I didn't exist. My parents exchanged a long, quiet look before my mother finally said, "Marriage is a serious matter. Think it through. There's no guarantee the next man won't be the same." I took a deep breath. Charles was the one at fault, not me. What I need to think about now is how to protect my interests. I contacted a lawyer that same night and began the process of dividing our assets. With both families' businesses so deeply intertwined, it wouldn't be easy. When I returned home and opened the door, the first thing I saw was a pair of dirty sneakers tossed carelessly in the entryway. Hazel was sprawled on the sofa, one leg draped across Charles's lap as she played a video game. "Charles, hurry up and save me." "You're so slow," she laughed. Charles chuckled and lightly patted her foot. Snack wrappers littered the coffee table and floor. The entire scene was disgustingly juvenile. I couldn't help but shake my head. If Charles wanted to demean himself, that was his choice. But I had no intention of stooping to their level. My heels clicked sharply across the marble floor as I walked in. The moment Charles saw me, he froze, his smile vanishing. "What are you doing here?" I smirked faintly. "What's wrong? Did I interrupt something?" He frowned. "Didn't Mom tell you to go back to the family estate?" "That's your mother," I replied coolly. "You can explain things to her yourself." I gestured to the 3 maids behind me. "Pack my things and bring them downstairs." Charles's face twisted in confusion. "Aurora, what are you doing? Are you upset because Hazel's here? She had nowhere to stay, so I let her stay for 3 days. Do you have to be so dramatic?" I met his gaze steadily. "I'm not being dramatic, I'm simply making room for you both, so you can finally be together openly." He blinked, taken aback. "What do you mean?" I said evenly, "I mean, we're getting a divorce. I don't want you anymore." By the time my maids finished packing, I took a set of documents from my bag and handed them to him. "I've already spoken to my lawyer. You can explain everything to your parents yourself. Don't bother making excuses to me. You know perfectly well how your family deceived me back then. And now that Hazel's back, you suddenly find me too cold and too boring?" His face drained of color. Hazel stood up and quickly stepped closer. "Ms. Aurora, you've misunderstood. There's nothing going on between Charles and me." "If there's nothing, then why did his parents send you away in the first place? I doubt Mrs. Raven even knows you're back." Charles's eyes flashed with anger. "I knew it. You're still not done playing hard to get. I admit, you come from a good family, and you're beautiful and smart, but I connect with Hazel in ways I never could with you." I smiled faintly. "Then why are you angry? Just sign the papers, and in a month, we'll both be free." I turned and walked out, my heels striking the floor with steady, deliberate rhythm. Behind me, I heard his furious shout, "If you leave, don't come back. Aurora, you'll regret this." Regret? What a joke. I had given so much to this marriage. I had known about his past with the housekeeper's daughter, and I hadn't cared. After all, everyone has a history. I simply assumed that a union between 2 families required compatibility, not passion. I had thought Mrs. Raven was refreshingly honest, even kind. I never imagined that Hazel would one day barge in, or that Charles would humiliate me like this. This marriage had always been a business arrangement. Once the benefits were secured, everyone was supposed to walk away satisfied. Charles's agreement to marry me had seemed proof that he had moved on. But he hadn't. If anything, he had sunk deeper. Since that was the case, I decided I wouldn't hold back either. After Aurora left, Charles kicked the sofa hard, sending snack bags flying. Stunned, Hazel reached for his hand. "Charles, I'm sorry. I didn't know she'd react like that. You've both been so busy, so stressed." Maybe she just snapped. Let's go out for a drink to clear your head. Charles exhaled sharply, his anger giving way to exhaustion. I need to go to the family estate. I'll come with you, Hazel offered softly. After a moment's thought, Charles nodded, taking her with him to face his family. As soon as Charles stepped into the Raven family estate, all his arrogance and bluster seemed to vanish. Dad, Mom, about Aurora. His words was cut short the moment his parents saw Hazel standing behind him. Hazel? Why are you here? What on earth are you two doing together? Mrs. Raven immediately rose from her seat, her tone sharp with disbelief. Hazel lowered her gaze demurely. Sir, madam, I came to see you. There's no need for that, Mr. Raven snapped. He took a deep breath to steady himself before turning to his son. Charles, explain to us what's going on. I just got off the phone with the Walton family. They said Aurora wants a divorce, and I also heard that the deal was snatched from our family. What exactly have you done? Charles frowned, his tone defensive. She's being unreasonable, overreacting just because I didn't celebrate our anniversary. Hazel quickly chimed in, pretending to sound sympathetic. That's right, sir. Charles has been under so much pressure lately. Aurora's the one making a scene. Enough. Mrs. Raven's voice thundered through the room. She raised her hand and slapped Hazel hard across the face, leaving a red mark blooming on her cheek. Our family matters are none of your concern. You have no right to interfere, Mr. Raven said sharply. Hazel's eyes welled up with tears as she bit her lip. Stop pretending to be the victim, Mrs. Raven said coldly. Get her out of here, now. Charles stepped protectively in front of Hazel. Dad, Mom, why are you treating her like this? Mr. Raven said icily, I'm telling you, I won't agree to you two divorcing. Aurora is the sole heiress of the Walton family. Only by staying with her can our family continue to rise, think clearly, and coax her back. Otherwise, don't ever set foot in this house again. With that, Mr. Raven turned away, signaling the end of the conversation. Outside, Charles's anger simmered beneath the surface. He convinced himself that Aurora must have gone to his parents and turned them against him. When he looked at Hazel's swollen cheek, his frustration softened into guilt. I'm sorry, Charles, Hazel whispered pitifully. You should go to her and apologize. I'll leave. He caught her hand. You're not going anywhere. You did nothing wrong. Don't pay any attention to them. Aurora's just putting on a show. A flicker of satisfaction flashed in Hazel's eyes, though she quickly hid it. She hadn't expected Charles to defend her so openly, and the realization thrilled her. Charles took Hazel home before heading out alone to a bar. A few of his friends were already there, waiting. When they heard he and Aurora had fallen out, they exchanged uneasy glances. Charles, don't be stupid, one of them said. If your marriage collapses, your standing in the Raven family will take a hit. Exactly, another added. A lot of people wanted to marry her before you. If you're really done with her, don't blame us if we make a move. Charles scoffed bitterly. Didn't you all say Aurora was cold and dull? What now, you want my leftovers? His friends laughed uneasily. Cold or not, she's beautiful, sexy, and smart. Her family's filthy rich. She's the sole heiress. Only a fool would let her go. Charles took a long, hard swallow of his drink. The mention of Aurora only fueled his frustration, yet her image kept surfacing in his mind, the calm confidence in her eyes, the way she had walked out without a single tear. Then, as he looked up, his breath caught in his throat. He shook his head in disbelief, because standing at the bar's entrance was Aurora. What a joke, he muttered. Aurora would never set foot in a place like this. When my best friend, Sarah, found out that Charles and I were getting a divorce, she dragged me to a bar to drown my sorrows. She leaned in with a mischievous grin. Look at those men over there. As long as you have money, they'll come running to impress you. You could take your pick. I slumped against the booth sofa, watching the male models under the flashing lights. It did make me feel a little better. Why should I waste my time on him? Charles could stay with the housekeeper's daughter for all I care. I would find someone far more suitable. When one of the models came closer, I instinctively reached out my hand. He didn't hesitate to join me. After a few drinks, Sarah threw an arm around my shoulders, laughing. Want to give it a try? The quality here isn't bad. I guarantee they're better than Charles. She barely finished speaking when a cold, strained voice came from behind us. So that's why you're rushing to divorce me? I turned my head, thinking I'd imagined it. But when I saw Charles's face, my mood instantly soured. The disdain in my eyes must have cut him deeply. Why are you here? He asked dryly. Are you following me now? Sarah rolled her eyes while I took a steady breath. Oh, please, don't flatter yourself. Nobody has the time to follow you around. Charles grabbed my wrist. No matter what you do, I'm not getting back with you. I yanked my hand free. Oh, really? You'd better stick to that, because I want nothing to do with you. I wiped my wrist with a napkin, disgusted. Charles's expression twisted in fury. Fine, this is just great, he snapped before storming off. Sarah pouted. What's with his attitude? That little housekeeper wasn't exactly well behaved when she went abroad. Did he really think he was the only one she was with? I laughed, pulling her arm. Why even bother saying that to him? But it was too late. Charles had heard everything. He turned back, his face dark with confusion and anger. I said nothing. Let him figure out the truth on his own. After I filed for divorce, Hazel sent me everything, photos, videos of them together, even bank transfers from Charles with ridiculous amounts. She only had one goal, to push me into finalizing the divorce so she could take my place. I also began looking for my next marriage partner. My only condition was simple, no more games. As the sole heiress of the Walton family, my value spoke for itself. The line of men eager to have dinner with me was already booked until next month. Among them, Justin stood out. He was sincere, composed, and direct. When we met for dinner, he brought a folder with him. Aurora, I'm serious about this, he said, sliding it across the table. No empty promises, just proof. Here are my company shares, my savings. If you agree to marry me, they're all yours. I blinked, a little surprised, and was just about to take a closer look when a hand suddenly grabbed my arm. It was Charles. His jaw was tight, his voice sharp. Aurora, you really can't wait, can you? We're not even divorced yet. I pulled away from him with a cold laugh. We're not divorced yet, but that didn't stop you from sleeping with Hazel, did it? Charles's face darkened instantly. I was drunk that night. Oh? Then I hope your shareholders won't be too drunk to notice when news of your affair gets out. Think about it, Charles, how much do you think the Raven family's stock will be worth after that? He froze. Aurora, do you really have no heart? It's been a year, have you never felt anything for me at all? Before I could respond, Justin's calm voice cut in from behind me. Charles, she deserves better. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Charles's expression turned murderous. Justin, you bastard. I treated you like a brother, and now you're trying to steal my woman? In a flash, he lunged, throwing a wild punch that Justin barely blocked, though the force still sent him staggering back. Justin retaliated, shoving Charles into the edge of the table, sending chairs and glasses flying, water splashing everywhere. Justin swung wildly, striking Charles's face. In the chaos of shouting, crashing tableware, and flailing arms, a pair of security guards finally grabbed them both, and just like that, all three of us ended up at the police station. I testified that Charles had started the fight. He stared at me in disbelief. Aurora, are you insane? I'm your husband. I met his gaze steadily. What right does a cheating dog like you have to call yourself my husband? Those were the harshest words I had ever spoken to him. Hearing me call him a cheating dog, Charles completely lost his composure. At that moment, Mrs. Raven arrived at the police station, storming in with her lawyer. Her eyes narrowed sharply when they landed on me. Aurora, matters between a husband and wife should be resolved behind closed doors. Such behavior is childish, dragging our private matters into a police station for everyone to see. You have no right to lecture me, I snapped. I will tell the media the truth about how your family tricked me into marriage. If Charles doesn't sign the divorce papers within 3 days, I'll release their intimate photos and videos. Truly, the tradition of your family messing around with housekeepers clearly runs deep. With that, I turned to Justin and walked away, leaving Mrs. Raven trembling with rage. Charles roared after me, Aurora, wait. Explain yourself. His words were met with a sharp slap from Mrs. Raven. When I decided to divorce Charles, I had already asked my parents to investigate thoroughly. The scandal ran in the family. Hazel seduced Charles, and her mother had done the same to Mr. Raven. Mrs. Raven had acted decisively, kicking both mother and daughter out immediately. Now hearing me reveal this, she was absolutely furious. After we left, Justin glanced at me. Our meeting was interrupted, but the terms I offered you still stand. Please consider them. I haven't made up my mind yet, I said calmly. Take your time. Justin drove me home. Shortly after, Charles called. Aurora, I won't divorce you. I'll break it off with her completely. Can we start over? What? Isn't Hazel your true love? I asked coldly. She was just an accident, he stammered. I laughed bitterly. An accident? That's a pathetic excuse. No one would believe it. I hung up and ignored him. If it weren't for the fact that we weren't officially divorced yet, I would have blocked him immediately. Meanwhile, my father acted swiftly. Using the situation to our advantage, we quickly divided our assets. By the time Charles and his family realized what was happening, most of our family's business operations had already been withdrawn. Justin also moved decisively, leaving Charles trapped and unable to recover within days. I had assumed he might compromise, but he didn't show up. Instead, Hazel came to my door. I wasn't even surprised. She smiled faintly, resting a hand on her lower abdomen. I don't know why you haven't divorced him yet. You wouldn't want to be ridiculed for being unable to have children, would you? I raised an eyebrow. Hazel, what is your brain made of? Her face twitched. He doesn't love you. He loves me. He told me he only feels truly relaxed and comfortable when he's with me. Where's the proof? I demanded. Hazel pulled out her phone, sending me video after video. In the footage, Charles was leaning on her lap, resting his eyes, while she stroked his hair. He murmured, only with you can I breathe. You don't know how much pressure I'm under, how they push me until I have nowhere to go. Hazel, I wish I could be with you for life. You worked hard to get into college and found a good job. You're no worse than her. Hazel beamed. See? That's how special I am to him. What's so special about that? You got an education and a job, and then you became the mistress. Her face exploded with rage. I laughed at her expression. No need to argue. I handed him the divorce papers long ago. He's the one who won't sign. It's not my problem. If you really want him, go ahead, but first, get him to sign the agreement. Got it? I stood and walked away, high heels clicking against the floor, leaving her stunned and fuming behind me. Hazel suddenly dropped to her knees. Please, spare me. I couldn't help but sneer at the scene. Clearly, she was plotting something against me. I felt nothing but disgust. Suddenly, Charles burst in. Spotting me, he demanded angrily, what are you doing? Haven't you tormented us enough? I said coolly, Charles, cameras are everywhere, and our conversation today has been recorded. You can continue your act, but I am done getting tangled with either of you. With a single click, I sent everything I had compiled over the past few days, every humiliation and evidence of their manipulations. Charles, you're finished. Then I turned and walked away. He froze, about to chase me, when Hazel wailed from behind, Charles, my stomach hurts. He frantically scooped her up. I watched his vehicle speed away. I shook my head. Fool. Soon enough, he would understand why I said that. The photos and videos of Charles's marital infidelity, along with Hazel's provocations, spread across the entire internet. Everyone was talking about the mess that Charles had created. 3 days later, he appeared outside my house. By then, his company had suffered boycotts, and he had become a public laughingstock. Seeing me emerge, he immediately rushed forward, but my bodyguard stopped him 10 feet away. Aurora, do you hate me that much? Are you trying to destroy me? I'm just speaking the truth, I replied sharply. He shouted, you have such a privileged background, yet you're venomous, aggressive, and undignified. Undignified? I snapped. You think my upbringing is only about family wealth? I come from a prominent family, but I seized my own resources. I topped every exam, excelled in my internships, and earned my first real successes. I worked hard and proved myself time and again. You say Hazel earned her degree and job through her own efforts, but didn't you pull strings to help her? She may be impressive in her own right, but I, Aurora, am not inferior. I used both my family's resources and my own efforts to climb higher, while you got cozy with your mistress. You looked down on me, thinking a wife should be magnanimous, obedient, and submissive. Sorry to tell you, relying on men for life is not my path, and you can't even handle a little public opinion. What does that make you? Charles was speechless. Eventually, he had no choice but to compromise and sign the divorce papers. On the day we received the divorce certificate, he clung to my hand. I shook him off without hesitation and turned to leave. Watching my retreating back, he finally broke down and cried. I knew he regretted it, not because he loved me, but because he regretted how quickly he had fallen without my resources. Charles eventually married Hazel, not out of love, but out of pressure and consequence. To protect their already fragile reputation, Mr. and Mrs. Raven confined Hazel throughout the pregnancy. They claimed it was for the baby, but everyone knew they feared becoming a laughingstock. Even with all their efforts, the Ravens couldn't escape their downfall. Their business continued sinking, deals failed one after another, and investors withdrew completely. In the end, they were forced to sell their properties and assets just to pay off their growing debts. They weren't living in poverty, but they also weren't wealthy anymore, just a struggling family trying to survive day by day. The four of them, Charles, Hazel, and his parents, ended up taking regular jobs just to afford basic needs. No luxury, no prestige, no influence. Just an ordinary, tiring life. Meanwhile, Justin and I married without fanfare, choosing a small ceremony filled with laughter instead of spectacle. Justin became the one person I could lean on without hesitation. He wasn't loud in his affection, but he was constant, steady hands at my back, steady presence at my side. Together, we raised our 2 sons and 2 daughters, juggling business meetings with school events. We shared everything, responsibilities, decisions, victories, and even frustrations. He respected my ambitions, and I respected his. We pushed each other forward, never pulling each other down. And though we weren't the type to be openly romantic, we had our moments. A quiet hand on my waist while passing in the kitchen. A lingering glance before a board meeting. A soft kiss on my lips when the kids weren't looking. Small things, tiny, private sparks that made our home feel safe and warm. One afternoon, I unexpectedly ran into Charles. He looked nothing like the arrogant man I once knew. His clothes were cheap and wrinkled from overuse, his shoulders slumped from exhaustion, and his eyes carried the dullness of someone who had long stopped dreaming. When he saw me, something flickered in his eyes, shame, longing, and regret. Aurora, you look incredible. You're glowing. Thank you, I replied calmly. He swallowed hard, his gaze drifting over the luxury car Justin had chosen for me, the designer clothes, and subtle jewelry that spoke of quiet sophistication. But what unsettled him most wasn't the wealth, it was the ease in my posture, the unmistakable confidence of a woman who was thriving without him. He forced a bitter smile. Hazel complains every day. My son has heart disease. My parents blame me for everything. And I hate my job. I never thought life could fall apart this fast. He looked at me with pleading eyes. Do you ever think about us? About what we had? Aurora, can't you come back to me? I gave a soft, amused laugh. Charles, take a good look at me. Do I seem like someone who needs to return to the past? His expression crumbled. My life is better, I continued gently but firmly. I'm surrounded by people who love and respect me. I have a husband who supports me, children who adore me, and a bright future I built myself. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. Without you, I didn't just survive, I thrived. Charles's lips trembled, his pride shattered. I don't resent you, but I also don't need you. I will never go back to the time when I was with you. Tears welled in his eyes, quiet, frustrated, and helpless. I offered one last reminder and advice. Charles, this is the life you chose. Take care of yourself and your family." Then I walked away, leaving him standing there, broken, defeated, and finally realizing the truth. His biggest mistake was losing me, while my greatest victory was walking away from him. Thanks for listening. Like, share, and let us know what you think in the comments. Be sure to subscribe for more stories. See you next time.